I have always been fascinated by the concept of absence. The idea that something or someone can simply vanish without a trace, leaving behind only memories and questions, has a certain allure to it. It is an art, a skill that I have perfected over the years. I am Johan Liebert, and this is my story. Absence is not merely the state of being absent or not present. It is a powerful tool, a weapon that can be wielded to manipulate and control. It is the fear of the unknown, the uncertainty of what may or may not be there. It is the power to make people question their own sanity, to doubt their own perceptions. And I have used this tool to my advantage, time and time again. From a young age, I learned the value of absence. I was a curious child, always exploring, always questioning. But I quickly realized that the world was not a place for questions. It was a place for answers, for conformity, for obedience. And so I began to perfect the art of disappearing. I learned to fade into the background, to become invisible, to slip away unnoticed. I honed my skills in the orphanage, where I was sent after my parents' untimely death. It was there that I discovered the true power of absence. I would disappear from my room, only to reappear somewhere else in the building, watching the chaos and confusion that I had caused. I would disappear from the dinner table, only to be found hours later, asleep in a closet or under a bed. I became a master of the art, and I reveled in the power that it gave me. But it was not until much later, when I had left the orphanage and was living on my own, that I truly understood the full potential of absence. I had been studying psychology, fascinated by the human mind and its limitations, and I had discovered a phenomenon that I found particularly intriguing: the law of absence. The law of absence states that the human mind has a limited capacity for processing information. When presented with a stimulus, the mind will focus on that stimulus and filter out everything else. But when that stimulus is removed, the mind will continue to focus on the space where the stimulus used to be, creating a sense of absence. I realized that this law could be used to manipulate people, to make them see and believe things that were not there. I could create an absence, a void, and fill it with whatever I wanted. And so I began to experiment. I would stage elaborate hoaxes, using absence to create a sense of mystery and intrigue. I would disappear from a room, only to reappear somewhere else, leaving behind a trail of clues that would lead people on a wild goose chase. I would create a scene of chaos and destruction, only to disappear without a trace, leaving behind only questions and uncertainty. And it worked. People became obsessed with me, with my absence, with the mystery that I had created. They would spend hours, days, even weeks trying to figure out where I had gone, what I had done, who I really was. And I would watch from the shadows, reveling in the power that I had over them. But as I continued to use absence as a tool, I began to realize that it was not just a means to an end. It was a way of life. I was not just disappearing from rooms or scenes. I was disappearing from people's lives, from their memories, from their consciousness. I was becoming a ghost, a shadow, a mere whisper of a presence. And I found that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the freedom that came with absence, the ability to slip away unnoticed, to move through the world without leaving a trace. I enjoyed the power that it gave me, the ability to manipulate and control, to make people question their own sanity. But I also found that there was a danger to absence, a dark side that I had not anticipated. The more I disappeared, the more I became invisible. The more I faded into the background, the harder it became to return. I found myself lost in the void that I had created, unable to escape the grip of absence. And so, I began to search for a way to break free, to reclaim my presence, to regain control of my life. I studied philosophy, religion, spirituality, anything that might offer a solution. And I discovered a concept that resonated with me, the idea of presence as a choice. Presence, I realized, is not something that is given to us. It is something that we choose. We can choose to be present, to engage with the world, to make ourselves known. Or we can choose to disappear, to fade into the background, to become invisible. I realized that I had been choosing absence for most of my life, that I had been using it as a crutch, as a way to avoid the pain and suffering of the world. But I also realized that I had the power to choose presence, to reclaim my place in the world, to make a difference. And so, I began to practice the art of presence. I started small, making an effort to be present in my daily activities, to engage with the world around me. I started to write, to express myself, to share my thoughts and ideas with others. I started to build relationships, to connect with people, to form bonds of trust and loyalty, and it worked. I found that the more I chose presence, the more I became present, the more I became a part of the world. I found that I was no longer lost in the void of absence, but grounded in the reality of the present. I found that I was no longer a ghost, a shadow, a mere whisper of a presence, but a force to be reckoned with. But I also found that presence is not a static state, but a dynamic process. It requires constant effort, constant attention, constant choice. I cannot simply choose presence once and be done with it. I must choose it again and again, every day, every moment. And so I continue to practice the art of presence, to choose it again and again, to make myself known, to engage with the world, to make a difference. And I continue to use the art of disappearing, to slip away unnoticed, to move through the world without leaving a trace when it serves my purpose. For I have learned that absence and presence are not opposites, but two sides of the same coin. They are two tools, two weapons, two choices that I have at my disposal, and I have learned to use them wisely, to wield them with skill and precision, to create the reality that I desire. And so, I am Johan Liebert, a master of the art of disappearing, a practitioner of the law of absence, a champion of the power of presence. And I will continue to use these tools, these weapons, these choices, to shape the world around me, to make a difference, to leave my mark. For I am not a ghost, a shadow, a mere whisper of a presence. I am a force to be reckoned with, a power to be respected, a presence to be felt. And I will not disappear without a trace, without leaving a mark, without making a difference. For I am Johan Liebert, and I am here to stay.